Hey, True Believers, Englentine here with another First Appearance Friday. In this case, we are doing The Punisher. And this is a very good case of failure has but one father, and, you know, the success has many. So you have Jerry Conway, who is writing a story. He needs an assassin character, so he comes up with a character that he calls Assassin. He draws out a crude mock-up, and there's a small death's head on his uniform that he wanted. He hands it in to the art director, John Romita Sr. at the time, and Romita makes the skull a little bit larger. He gives it, of course, to Ross Andru, who's the first person to draw it. Now, Jerry Conway got the inspiration for the character from a series of novels called The Executioner, written by Don Pendleton. Now, here is the Executioner's description. A Vietnam veteran named Mac Bolan, whose family is killed by the mafia, so he becomes a serial killer, but he only kills criminals. Not saying that Jerry Conway stole the character, but he definitely was heavily inspired by him. Well, at least he wasn't called Frank Castiglia Castle. You know, I can't say that stuff. All right. Anyway, also another dad, Stan Lee. Yeah. So, like I said, he was going to be called the Assassin. And, well, Stan Lee says, hey, wait a second. You know, there's this character I wrote. It's a robot that was owned by Galactus. It was called the Punisher, and that's a great name for the character, so why not call him the Punisher? And Jerry said, okie dokie. And ta-da, the Punisher was born. And here we are. We're going to take a look at the Punisher's very first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man 128. No, I'm just kidding. You know, this was going to be one of those moments where I wanted to see how many people would actually think I was dumb enough to do that, but you know what? That's too obvious. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to make it a little less obvious. So anyway, let's take a look at Amazing Spider-Man number 129. Taking a look at the cover first, there's not much to say. I mean, this is a true classic cover. The striking colors, the yellow with Frank Castle's black and white outfit, it just stands up. Spider-Man in the scope sights, it's really a classic cover. He's different. He's deadly. He's the Punisher. Fine. Excellent. The most deadly hired assassin. That's good too. It's good to know that among the hired assassins, he's top of his class. He still can't perform as good as the assassination hobbyist, but one day he'll get there. And we open up on a good old-fashioned American splash page. And we see that Stan Lee's already just presenting. I mean, heck, Roy Thomas is the editor. Jerry Conway's the writer, and as we already discussed, with Ross Andru being the artist. And I'm going to decline to say the inker's name just because I know I'm going to destroy the heck out of it. And we join the Jackal and the Punisher in some sort of computer room? I guess this is the Jackal's layout. I mean, seriously, where do they find the money for this kind of stuff? Computers were not cheap back then. They're not cheap now, but they were definitely not cheap back then. Anyway, the Jackal saying, magnificent. You demolished the plaster statue on your first shot. If you do as well with the real Spider-Man, my friend, you'll have performed the world a truly great service. And you see the Punisher firing at a Spider-Man statue from about 3 feet away.
Good shot. Good luck for me. Good shot.
You miss it this distance.
I always speak about the economy of the writing in the past. Like today, everybody's writing for the trade, so what they would tell in one panel is stretched out to 6 issues. In this case, the first 3 panels we see Jackal and Punisher talking about, he's like, oh, well, you know, you loved the killing. And Punisher's like, well, I only killed those who deserve to die, and Spider-Man deserves to die. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but you get the gist. Then we, of course, join the wall crawler over the streets of New York, as he usually is. Never thought I'd get bored with web slinging, but right now I'm so absolutely sick of it. I could chuck my web shooters down the first sewer I see. It's the air in this crummy burg. Down on the street, it's bad enough, but up here in Spidey country, it's positively murder.
Somebody call the ambulance.
So Spider-Man hears a gunshot and figures, okay, I'm going to go stop criminals being criminals. But before I do that, of course, as he always did, sets up the camera to get some pictures for the Daily Bugle. Jumping in, the criminals are like, hey, man, there's Spider-Man. And one's like, oh, hey, I hear as much of a criminal as we are, because at the time he was wanted for the death of Captain Stacy Gwen's dad. And, of course, J. Jonah Jameson in the Daily Bugle isn't doing his reputation that much good either. But I want to focus on this last panel. Not so much the Spider-Man swinging in going, I'm not a criminal, I'm just your average friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and it's not the unidentifiably ethnic guy that really bothers me about the scene. But why's the white boy over here doing the dab? And I'm pretty sure that Spider-Man just broke his f***ing neck.
Hey, I think I broke his. I think he broke his. I told you I broke his.
And then Spider-Man just jumps right into action with the white guy who was dabbing pulling a gun. So we got you pegged wrong, punk, big deal. That just means we take you out the hard way, but punk, we still take you out. Well, he's either gonna kill him or he's going to begin to date him. We see two different bad guys joining the fray, which makes me wonder, okay, who are they shooting at anyway? And then Spider-Man, for some reason, begins to state his resume. Hey, you guys, I've got speed and strength of a spider and some other abilities, and I even came up with these web shooter thingies. And what really gets me is as soon as he sees the black guy did not actually break his neck, he says, you know what, screw it. And then he starts to smother them. I'm not even joking a little bit. This is the next panel. Look at that. Those guys are smothered. Man, 1973 Spider-Man was a murderous sumbitch. A gift from me to you, officer, though it probably won't do my reputation one bit of good. This entire town's convinced I killed Norman Osborn thanks to Jameson and the Daily Bugle. Even the crooks think I'm one of them.
Somebody call the ambulance.
And so, of course, Peter Parker continues. And since I don't dare come forward in my own defense for fear of having my real identity exposed, I've just got to suffer. And do I ever suffer? How can I tell him that Osborn was the Green Goblin? That he killed Gwen Stacy, the girl I loved? Who would believe a known public menace, and worse, what do I even want to tell him? What would it do to Harry, my best pal and roommate? Osborn was his father. Bad enough his dad's dead, but if he found out the truth, guess there's nothing I can. Seriously, we've seen Spider-Man for 3 pages, and his dialogue has been. And that middle panel right here, as he's trying to put on a happy face, is possibly the most insane I've ever seen Peter Parker look. I don't know. On one hand, my first thought was, wow, this is horrible. I mean, he looks crazy. But on the other, it's him trying to put on a happy face and failing, so I guess it succeeds. The rest of the page is simple. We have Betty lamenting the fact that their friendship hasn't been as strong as it used to be, and she invites him to a party. He then steps into Jameson's office, where Jameson just yells at him, Parker! Peter Parker tries to sell his photos of Spider-Man and the burglary, but Jameson's having none of it because the New York Star is now reporting on the Punisher and his war on the mob. So Peter decides, oh, so you want pictures of the Punisher? Jameson says, of course, and yells like Jameson does. Peter Parker heads out, and we see him as Spider-Man with possibly the most convenient of dialogue. As he's swinging along, we see a rifle pointed at him. Easy for Jameson. Jameson? Where did I get it from? Jameson. It isn't like I've been reading Spider-Man comics for 40 years. Let's try that one more time with feeling. A short while later, in the dingy sky over what was once the world's largest city, easy for Jameson to say, but how do I find this Punisher guy? Now, you'd think that his spider sense would be going off to say, hey, look, there's a rifle, but nope, he's just like, he's not going to be advertising himself, and there it is. I should have just been a little bit patient and understand that Jerry wouldn't let me down. Hold it, there's something wrong. My spider sense is beginning to tingle. That means there's danger near. But what sort of danger, and where is it coming from? Can hardly stand it. Feels like my mind is on fire. What the... Hey, what's happening to me? 1 second, 2, now fire! That's my sound effects, by the way. And he's a holy crud! Some sort of concussion some sort of concussion projectile. See, a more professional person would have cut that bit. Some sort of concussion projectile. If it hit me instead of that abandoned tenement, I'd be a mushroom cloud right now. But thankfully, it's only killed a whole bunch of people that are in that apartment building. Wait a second. On that rooftop across the street, a glint of silver. It's him, the Punisher. I know I wanted to find the guy, but this is a little extreme. Whoops, he's headed towards the air shaft. Probably wants to escape. Sorry, pal, but I'm afraid I can't let you run out on me. There are some questions I want you to answer. Mainly, why'd you try to kill me? Hey, you're not half bad at this acrobatic stuff, are you, fella? I'm an expert at many things, murderer, and for your information, I wasn't trying to escape. I was trying to reach this. Your kind of scum has ruled this country too long, punk, and I'm out to put a stop to it any way I can. What, fiend? You got your signals crossed. I'm not... Hey! Oh boy, some sort of titanium alloy wire bundling me up like a thread on a spindle. How do I get out of this mess? Okay, I'm going to take a second out of the story for a moment to mention something I wasn't going to mention before, but if you look at the bottom of the page, there's all throughout the book, there are these things. Hey, read Thor and you'll see this, read this. And here's one that just kind of made me laugh. It says, remember Zodiac? Well, you will when you read Avengers 120. It's like, if he's in the book, yeah, are you really remembering, or are you just, it's like that old line when it comes to girls, you say, every time I look at you, I think of you. And it sounds good until they're like, wait, what? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I just thought it was kind of funny. It's not something I like doing. It's simply something that has to be done. And I've got nothing to lose by risking what's left of my life wiping out your kind of parasite. You're all alike, using whatever means to get control of the drug, the public. God dang it. The drugs, okay, you know what? I'm done. Let's just put it to you this way. I'm very happy, by the way, that they stopped drawing him with a pointy head. This is an ugly-ass picture of Punisher. I'm sorry, but this is really, really bad. He goes on basically saying that he's actually worried that all of the killing that he's had to do is beginning to rub off on him, that maybe he does actually like the fact that he's killing. Now, of course, all the pontificating gives Spider-Man time to break free, and he's like, what? That wire was strong enough to hold 10 men. You can't. I've got a secret to tell you, pal. I'm not 10 men. I'm your friendly neighborhood. Forget it, he says as he punches his head into a brick. I'm sorry, dude. That's your second murder, Spider-Man. If you punch him that hard enough for bricks to shatter off of a chimney, Frank Castle is dead. I've seen some silliness before in comic books, and I've seen some bad storytelling and some bad panels, but what we're about to see next just defies explanation. As we see that the Jackal had accompanied the Punisher on their little escapades here, and he's saying, no, the Punisher underestimated Spider-Man's strength. My entire plan's coming apart. I have to do something. If the Punisher is captured, he might tell Spider-Man about me. And the time is not yet ripe for the world to learn about the Jackal. Like his namesake, the wiry man in the dark green costume waits until his foe's back is turned, and then he strikes. Now, of course, right away, no spider sense warning him of danger behind him, but that's not the bad thing. Right here, Jackal says, ha! The Jackal's claws dig deep, wall crawler, and my negatively charged electroprods can also prove quite stimulating. You'll not soon forget this day. Or the fact you said, hey, the Jackal's claws? You just said you didn't want anybody to know about you. Really, the best thing to do would be to drop down the chimney, crawl away, run away, do whatever away, kill the Punisher, do whatever you want, but not shout out your name. If you're looking for it to be secret, don't shout out your name in whatever endeavor you're doing. That's my advice. I don't know. Blinded with pain, Spidey stumbles away from the treacherous Jackal as he's heading towards the edge. I won't have him die this way, Jackal. It isn't just who's concerned with justice, you fool. Just so long as that costume buffoon is dead. Fortunately for Spidey, the Jackal has forgotten our hero's superhuman ability to block out pain, and we do see that Spider-Man is able to catch his web to a building, but the momentum carries him through an office window. He manages to get himself extricated, as it puts it in the comic book right here, from the maw of female hysteria. Oh, Spider-Man, you're about to be Me Too'd. And then he gets himself back to the roof of the building where, for some reason, they left behind a gun. It's not like they didn't have time to pick it up and run. But on the butt of the gun, it says Rice Armorers to the trade. I guess if you're going to be making secret weapons for vigilantes, you want to be advertising on your weapons. And Spider-Man says, I might have hit the jackpot after all. And then we see him back at his apartment, checking out his head and everything. He says, my head feels like he singed it with a hot torch. Say, that reminds me, Johnny Storm said he'd have the Spider-Mobile ready today. The Spider-Mobile. I remember this. I actually had the Dune Buggy. The Spider-Mobile, however, just to give you a heads up, is a little Dune Buggy that they were trying to sell toys of. So they put it in the comic books. The most ridiculous thing ever. Maybe I will do a first appearance of the Spider-Mobile if you guys would like. I think it would be kind of fun and funny. And then we take a pause for some character moments. Peter Parker's still whining and complaining about his life. He says even though he's going to get thousands of dollars, he's bitching and moaning because he has to sew his own costume. Then we see Harry, who is worried that Peter's going to hate him because he thinks he's the Green Goblin. Or Harry thinks he's the Green Goblin. And, of course, he's shaking and sweating, and we all know what's coming. We know why that is. And then we see Mary Jane, who's talking to a Professor Warren, who wants to issue apologies to Peter Parker for their last meeting. And she, of course, just kind of blows it off and says, see ya, bye-bye, I'll give him the message. And, of course, we get to see exactly how shallow 1970s Mary Jane was. But do I even want to see Petey again? Do I want to get that heavy and involved in somebody's life? I mean, the things he's been through. With Gwen dying, he's not exactly Mr. Fun these days. And if there's one thing Mary Jane's committed to in this great big woolly old world, it's loads and loads of fun. Caricatures. And, of course, we cut to Bwomp, Punisher bitch-slapping Jackal. I told you I didn't want to do it that way. My apologies. I had no idea he meant that much to you. When I agreed to work with you, Jackal, it was with the understanding we were fighting for the same thing. The complete destruction of the crime world in New York City. Or New York, he just said New York. I did not intend to become a common murderer by allowing a man to fall to his death. But he was a criminal, don't you see? The police couldn't touch him. That's why you had to kill him for murdering Norman Osborn. Why does it matter how he died? It matters, friend. If I'm ever to live with myself, I have to know I'm doing the right thing. And letting a man die by accident doesn't qualify. And of course, we see the Jackal's thoughts and how evil he is. Pitiful fool, I've had enough of your soul searching. Your usefulness to me is over. Finished. The Jackal must turn to other, more profitable things now that Spider-Man is dead. I have to agree with the Jackal here. I'm sorry. Sorry, gang, but if you are out to kill Spider-Man, mission accomplished. Okay, done. Although I would have actually checked for a body before I left the scene. The Punisher angrily puts on his coat and hat to storm out to go buy another gun because, much like Gilligan's Island, they have no change of clothes. And he begins to question his partnership with the Jackal. And then we see Spider-Man as he's talking about going to visit the Rice Armory because the Punisher was dumb enough not to scrape the name of where he got it off of the... That was the dumbest scene, guys. Really, Jerry? That's where you want to be when Jesus comes? So anywho... we see a blurb that says, okay, now it starts. What we in the business call the climactic confrontation. Dig it, frantic one. And Spider-Man drops down, and as he's going into the armory, we see the Punisher saying, I don't know how he survived, and I don't care. The very fact that he's alive turns my stomach. This time, I'll make certain he's finished personally. And Spider-Man enters the building calling out for Mr. Rice, and bumps his foot up against his body. And I swear to gosh, this is the dialogue. Somebody didn't like you very much, Mr. Rice. The way they slashed you up like some sort of cat. Okay, first of all, are you saying that they sliced him up like they would slice up a cat? Or are you saying that a cat could have sliced him up? It doesn't make sense. Also, what a crappy line there, Jerry. Somebody didn't like you very much the way they murdered you. I can't even say this is Silver Age silliness. This is Bronze Age badness. I guess we could put that into the lexicon now. Anyway, we see the Punisher come crashing through the window. Now what? Oh no, it's you again. Won't you ever quit? And the Punisher says, not while you're still alive, punk, kicking Spider-Man in the face. Not while I'm called the Punisher. Actually, it looks like he yelled it. The Punisher! So Spider-Man says, you know, for a guy without a fancy costume, that could possibly be said about later iterations of the Punisher, but the one you're talking to is looking exactly like this. The man's in a costume, Spider-Man. Just feel lucky he didn't show up in his swimsuit. The Punisher notices the dead body on the floor and accuses Spider-Man of killing his friend. And even though Spider-Man is trying to get him to realize, wait a second, those marks on his back, don't they look familiar? Punisher's not listening to it. So Spider-Man webs up the Punisher's gun. So Spider-Man says, if I have to choose between me and you, as he's flipping around kicking the Punisher, he says, I choose me. And then, of course, we see him sitting next to a bound Punisher. He's saying, forgive me for being so rough, friend, but I was pretty sure I wouldn't beat you by using kid gloves. Now will you look a little more closely at Rice's body? Do I have a choice? Not much. Those marks, like claw marks of some kind. I know precisely what kind, and so do you. I got a handful of them across the back of my head from that pal of yours. The Jackal? He did this, but why? And then, of course, we see that I myself even need to eat a little crow. One question first. Did you leave the armorer's plate on that crazy rifle of yours, or was it off? Do you think I'm crazy? Again, why? Then that wasn't the gun you dropped. This Jackal friend of yours took it and replaced it with one that still had the plate? To incriminate you, of course. He knew you'd have to come back here tonight, so he planted evidence the cops would have found if I hadn't. Then to tie it up neatly, he killed the old man so you'd be found with him. He was gone for a while this evening, an hour ago, but what's the purpose? To get rid of you after you gotten rid of me. In case you hadn't already guessed it, fella, I'm not a murderer. I'm one of the good guys, I think. Then he used me like a pawn. He'll pay for that. He'll pay. Well, dude, you broke the door. You're the one who should pay for it. I'm just saying. That's pretty rude of you. Say, friend, what's this whole kick you're on? You said you were a Marine, so how come you're fighting over here? That's my business, superhero, not yours. Maybe when I'm dead, it'll mean something. But right now, I'm just a warrior fighting a lonely war. So Spider-Man hears that the cops are coming and figures that since he's the only one that they'll be able to see, that they're going to pin the murder on him. And then as he's swinging away, we see that the Jackal is watching him. Well, it appears you've escaped this time, web slinger, but I promise you won't be so fortunate again. If I'm to take over the city, I must first destroy you, and I will. This, the Jackal swears. So there you go, gang. Amazing Spider-Man 129, the first appearance of the Punisher. And how was it, man? I gotta tell you, I'm on the fence on this one. There's good and there's bad. It's not like you can read a Silver Age or a Golden Age and it's like just, oh, that was kind of stupid, but it was silly and it was of the time. This is a time where they were trying to, get comic books to be a little bit more mature. There's even a Stan soapbox that's saying these things aren't for kids anymore, but there were still just so many plot holes and contradictions in the story that, I don't know. The Punisher was written as an idiot in this one as well, but it is very cool to see where he came from versus where he eventually ended up. Because this, you can call him the Punisher because he looks like the Punisher, except for that pointy head. But this is not the Punisher we know now. And that is something I like doing as well. I mean, that's part of the fun of the First Appearance Fridays, where we go back and we actually see, holy crap, that's where they came from. Yeah, I guess it's okay. It was not a bad book. There's racing outside. I guess there's not a bad book. It's just, like I said, I'm on the fence. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? What do you think of the first appearance of the Punisher and the video itself? I'm very happy that these First Appearance Fridays seem to be a minor hit. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, you want to see more, click like, click share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if you don't mind helping out the channel, go on over to Patreon or to Ko-Fi, drop $1 in the till. Help us keep the lights on, help us keep making videos for you, especially now that they kind of cut my legs out from under me and canceled my live stream. I definitely could use the help. And also, if you don't want to commit to a monthly, Ko-Fi does have a tip jar, so does PayPal. So there you go. Yep, I'm shilling away, aren't I? Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.